Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I am going to be joined by my co-host, Mr. Michael Reed, very, very soon. And before I announce our guest, just wanted to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. And our guest, our glorious and family member of the podcast, actually our first guest that we actually had on this show, a big-time guest, Zach Selby of the Washington football team. How are you doing on the last day of 2021, Selby?
There's been a whole lot of stuff going on in my life. In addition to the craziness that is the 2021 Washington football team season, I have moved, so people who are watching this will no longer see the other door and a bunch of other crazy stuff behind me. For now, it's just a wall. But I've moved to Maryland, so now I have a bedroom and an office. I'm moving up in the world.
There you go.
So that's nice. Quiet little neighborhood.
See, I understand that because I got a new chair, so I only imagine what it's like to get a new office, Selby. I resonate with that. But the first question I had to ask you pertaining to this game this weekend is Washington is going to be without their best player, possibly in being Tress Way. And it looks like they had brought in an interim punter. And how big of news is that? Because Tress, I mean, he's literally plays every game. You know, he really is very important with the way how far he kicks these punts, because it really does dictate where the opposing offense starts. And he really does a good job of pinning those guys back. So this is a big deal for Washington, right?
Yeah, I mean, I made a comment to somebody a few days ago that Tress is before the news even came out. Tress is one of the team's best players, and they were like, you sure about that?" I'm like, "No, like really, he is, because I mean, he's first of all, he's made a Pro Bowl, and he can flip the field. Like, he's an underrated weapon. And I mean, if you go around and ask like who some of the best punters in the league are, it's Tressway is going to come up as at least one of the top 5 names in the league if they're not going to be biased about their own punters. But honestly, like the way he can pin teams deep into like the 10, the 5. I mean, that's a weapon. It really is. And I mean, what's harder to score is whenever you have to go 90 plus yards down the field and plus it on top of that, it gives your defense like more time to do pressure. It does all these kind of good things for the team. And I don't know that much about this new punter. I've been a little busy today, so I haven't been able to do a lot of my research on him. But I know that Tress is very, very, very I wouldn't even say underrated by this fan base, because they know how valuable he is. He might not seem very, like, he might not get a lot of attention as maybe other punters or maybe people like that, but he really is one of the best weapons that Washington has. And assuming that he's not able to go on Sunday, it's going to be very difficult, for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of weapons, and especially with the NFL in particular, the NFL fans have lost what seems like somebody that was all important in all of our lives in John Madden. And the NFL announced that this weekend all 32 teams are going to be having a moment of silence for John Madden. And rest in peace, sir. I just wanted to ask you, what was your favorite Madden moment or Madden video game, if you had one?
Well, so honestly, probably like many people, my first Madden really experience was with the Madden video game, because back when I was about 10 years old, I really wasn't a big football person. I wasn't a big sports person in general. I was more into video games and reading. And my brothers at the time were playing Madden, and I had no idea what it was. And I was like, "Oh, well, it's a video game. I'm going to try to at least relate to these new people that have just become my brothers." And I ended up, the Steelers were my team for like the longest time on Madden, with Willie Parker and those dudes who started doing Big Ben's rookie season. But yeah, like that was such a great video game, and it really helped me get into like the sport. In terms of like a favorite Madden video game, I think my favorite one, the one that I was really good at, was Madden 2009. Yeah. That was the year when the Tennessee Titans won the #1 overall seed in the AFC. Got bounced by the Baltimore Ravens thanks to a delay of game call that the ref did not see in a home game in the divisional playoffs. But you can tell I've never really thought about that game too
No,
much.
never. It doesn't stay on your mind, does it, Sully?
No, but it was cool, having they had the medals you can get for like I think Kerry Collins back with the Titans had like a rocket arm.
Yep.
You had like the precision thing that you could do with like Brady. I think that you could like the defense had one of these things where you could get a sneak look at all the offensive plays. I mean, there were so many cool things that Madden 2009 kind of brought into the Madden universe, I guess you could say. And I thought it was really ahead of its time in a lot of ways for that specific game. So if you look back at like how many other Madden games borrowed off of that particular one.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you, mine was 2013, and the reason for that is because I always used Washington. I didn't like using other teams, and 2014 was when, after 2012, RG3's rookie year, and they actually had a good quarterback. So, like, was rated, like, I think in the low 90s at that point. So that was the first time with Washington I could just sit in the pocket and just make every throw and just destroy everybody with Washington. Because generally, when I played Madden against other people, I was at a disadvantage due to the quarterback position, but that's another question for another day.
That was also the year that the read option was really such a big deal.
Yes.
And man, they kind of pushed a driving point into that because you had RG3, then you had Russell Wilson out there running it. And I think Andrew Luck had a couple of read option plays as well. Colin Kaepernick, yeah. That was one of the my freshman year of college, I would bring in my Xbox to like the freshman dorm, like the main lobby, and we would just play everybody. And there was one night where I was just going off on people with no matter what team I was in, I would line up in like the Wildcat offense and just run the same 3 plays over and over and over and just smoke everybody. Yeah.
See, that's impressive because college kids, especially with video games, is typically something they're very good at.
Yes.
But that being said, Selby, let's start breaking down this game this weekend. Because my biggest question, last time they faced Philly 2 weeks ago, they gave up 230 yards on the ground, I think, at least, to the Philly offensive line. Look, they really did pound the rock on this team, and it was a point of emphasis, one of the biggest reasons why they lost. Is Washington better set now? Like, do they understand what Philly wants to do, and are you confident that they're going to be able to limit that running game?
Yeah, I think so. I think they had 238 rushing yards. And I think that was the most that the Washington defense had given up in, I want to say like 5 or 6 years. It's a pretty rare occasion to have for any team to put up 200 and something yards on the ground against you. But I think that, you look at what they were able to do, the Eagles were, and they were just going straight at people, just down the field, running downhill. And I think some of you have to chalk to the fact that it was a short week. It was kind of a crazy past few days that really led to that game, going on Tuesday. And then you had a quarterback go out, and you had player after player getting on the COVID list. And it was a crazy situation. And I think some of that has to be chalked up to, the defense wasn't at full strength. So you have to consider that too. But look, this team has run for at least 125 yards in the past 9 games. This is who they are, the Eagles. And it wouldn't surprise me if they go, for maybe another 100-yard game. But I think the way you have Cole Holcomb out there, you've got the linebackers now are back. They have still a bad taste in their mouth for the past 2 weeks, honestly, but especially the 56-14 game they had against the Cowboys. I think they're going to be really determined to say, look, the past 2 games are not who we are. When we were playing well in the 4-game win streak, that's more in tune with what this team is.
Right.
I think they want to remind everybody that they're not this team that's going to get smoked every play. Now the Eagles are not going to have Miles Sanders with a broken hand. That's going to be a big deal.
Yep.
But you also have Jalen Hurts. You also have Jordan Howard, who's currently questionable. They've got a lot of really good weapons running the ball. They averaged over 5 yards to carry in that last game. Yeah, exactly. So I think they're going to be really determined to say, look, you might be able to get your yards on us. You might be able to do a couple of things on the ground, like that's who you are. But I think they're going to be determined to at least say you're not going to put up that many yards on us this year or this week.
Right. And next question I have for you, and it's kind of sombering news that came out yesterday, and Montez Sweat's brother had tragically passed away in Richmond, and Montez Sweat has not practiced this week. I hope he takes as much time as he needs to get back, because that's a big deal. And like Ron said, that's real life kind of ish stuff like that, and I totally understand that. And I just want to say prayers out to the Sweat family. I know it's a rough time for them. My question to you is, what do you think the feeling around the team is? And do you think that there is with this news, so to speak, and with everything gone on in the past week with the fighting and the loss and everything, and Montez Sweat's brother passing, do you think Montez Sweat could possibly play? What is your confidence level with that? And then also, what do you think the feeling around the team is right now?
Well, I think as far as Montez, I'll say, first of all, I'll just echo your statement and say, like, I really wish him the best. I hope that he's okay mentally, because it's tough whenever you lose somebody. I've lost 2 people in the past 2 months, so I know that's a tough deal.
Sorry to hear that.
So hopefully, I hope he takes whatever time he needs. In terms of what the team is going through right now, I would say that, like, this is a resilient team, but I think they've all kind of acknowledged that it's been tough. It's been really, really tough, especially in the past ever since they went 6-6. It's been just one issue after the other. Even before then, you can probably come up with a couple of other things that really kind of weighed on this team. And I think you have to understand that, like, athletes are people, and I think that's something that gets lost on a lot of us, and that is, they have to deal with a lot of stuff that we don't have to deal with. Some things we do have to deal with, and I think that we have to have a little empathy and understand that, like, it's hard no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing a football game or you're going out and just doing a regular 9 to 5, like going through a lot of the same mental stuff you deal with, getting hit in the head with an anvil every day. It's going to wear on you after a while. So I think they're feeling it. I think that they're tired. I think they're mentally kind of not shocked is the right word, but more of this, like, they feel it. They feel the mental strains. And I think that if there's one thing you can rest on, it's that this is still a resilient team. This is a team that has fought through all of that. And no matter what happens in the next 2 weeks, whether they maybe get in the playoffs or they win 1-1 or, whatever happens, I think that they're at least they're going to give you their all. And no matter what happens, I think we can rest pretty happily on that.
Yeah, and I would agree with you there. And I know that's been a sombering talk, to say the least. I know we've talked about how ever since they went 6-6, it seems like things just continue to pile on this football team. And the next being that they're going to be without Antonio Gibson, and because of COVID, being put on the COVID list. And then Eric Flowers, their left guard, got put on the COVID list today, threatening his possibility of playing tomorrow, or Sunday. I'm sorry, I keep thinking today's Saturday because I had off.
I know. There's no, especially this time of year, there's no concept of what day it is.
Right. This week between Christmas, the holidays, and New Year's Eve, for some reason, just really gets convoluted and messed up. But my question to you is, how big of a deal is that? And I know Sadiq Charles talked to reporters today after practice. And how did you think he did last week, coming in instead of Brandon Sheriff? Do you think that Brandon Sheriff will be able to come back to play right guard and they'll move Sadiq to left guard?
I think that's a possibility. I think Sadiq he's had his moments. I think he's had some really positive plays. Now, he's also shown that he's a player that hasn't had too many starts under his belt, so there's going to be some mistakes along the way. But, I mean, potentially, if they lose Eric Flowers and Antonio Gibson, that's a heavy hit. It definitely is, because Gibson is, I think I want to say he's like 112. He's a little over 100 yards away from 1,000. And he's had his mistakes too, but when he's on, he's really, really on. And Flowers has once again shown that for whatever reason, he's just a really good guard whenever he plays for the Washington football team.
It's true.
I don't know what it is, but he seems to have his best seasons whenever he's playing for Washington. And this offensive line has been really good all year.
Yeah.
But Flowers has been one of those guys who is just really, really tough, really, really producing, really performing at a high clip. And assuming that they both go out, you'll have Jared Patterson, you'll have Jonathan Williams, you'll have Wendell Smallwood, and Rivera feels confident in all three of those guys. But if you want to beat this team, you have to be able to at least run the ball a little bit to control the pace, because if not, the Eagles are going to do it with their running game. So you hope that you hope Gibson's okay. You hope he'll be healthy back in time for Sunday. But if not, they feel pretty confidently about the three-headed, I guess, backup monster, I guess you could call it, in Patterson, Williams, and Smallwood, that they can at least carry the load.
Yeah, I would agree with you at that point. And then, you weren't going to escape this interview without talking about quarterback, Zach. And so Rivera said in the week, I know Kyle Allen came in against Dallas and was able to put up some points, but coach during the week said it's Taylor's team. Taylor is starting, but if things need to happen, he'll bring in Kyle Allen. So do you expect Kyle Allen to get any snaps? And what do you think Coach Rivera means by that when he says when he says about Taylor essentially that if it gets out of hand, he'll make the change?
Well, I think it comes down to some of the similar to the situation that he had against Dallas. Like if it's just really getting away from him so much, then maybe they'll go back to him or they'll go back to Kyle. But I think they really want to see what Taylor has, because I mean, and I think that's important. I think it's important to see, going into next year about how much can you really trust Taylor down the stretch, because we all love Taylor. I think Taylor's a really great story and everything, but this is at this point in the season, you're being evaluated. You're always being evaluated, and this team wants to. They don't want this last year to be a fluke. They don't want to go below 500 every year and maybe sneak into the playoff because of some help, or maybe in a crazy winning the division with a below 500 record. They want to win 10, 11, 12 games. And they want to see maybe if Taylor has that. And if he doesn't, then they'll make a decision based off of that. So we'll see. I think, and also you have to worry, they have to think that, they're evaluating Kyle as well. They want to see, where he fits in the roster, if going into next year, they want to move in a different direction from quarterback, and maybe they do. So it's important for us to get a full body of work out of those quarterbacks. And I think they're going to give Taylor as much opportunity as they can, make sure to say, okay, you want to stay out there, go do it. Go stay out there, go make a few plays, go, be the player that we've seen you become on a, albeit somewhat inconsistent basis. And if not, well, we've got Kyle here, who we also need to look at too. And Rivera trusts Taylor. I mean, he trusts Kyle too, but he trusts Taylor. He feels pretty proud of the way that Taylor has stuck with it. He feels pretty proud of the way that Taylor has performed given his situation. But so we'll see. We shall see. It's going to be an interesting couple of games. I think whatever happens with the quarterback decision in the next two games, we'll have a pretty heavy weight in terms of what happens next year with the position.
Yeah, and one thing that I will say, I said this on Twitter the other day, that, Coach, they had more time with Kyle than they did with Taylor. And if Coach didn't make the adjustment switching out Kyle now at this point, it tells you they know what they have in Kyle. They want to see more out of Taylor. But to wrap this up, Selby, I have to ask you, because Coach Scott Turner, the offensive coordinator, spoke to reporters yesterday, and he talked about getting Terry McLaurin the football more. And I think we all can agree with that. Terry, I think, has 889 yards receiving so far this season. 899, I'm sorry. So 101 yards away from another 1,000 in season. And my question is, it's his contract year. And a lot of people have talked, why would Terry want to come back? Why would he re-sign here? I'm hoping and I'm praying that he does and he will stay here, because I love myself some Terry McLaurin. What do you think Terry is going to do in this offseason? Are you concerned? Do you think that his personality is the type that he would possibly leave here?
I don't think that he's the person who would just straight up leave. If I know this coaching staff, and I know the way that the Washington feels about Terry, they're going to at least try to offer him something. Oh, well, here we go. But at the very end of the show, he decides to show up. And I was about to say, look at me. I'm the co-host now. Okay, we've been running this thing for like 30 minutes now, and you've been MIA. All right, we all got things to do. Come on.
If anybody's going to take over for me, I'm happy that it's you, Selby. Okay.
There we go. We won't tell Logan Paulson about that.
I appreciate
me and Logan. I mean, we're going through a hard time.
I do love Logan Paulson.
He knows me and him are good friends. As soon as Julie just gets lost, then I think we'll be closer. But I got to figure out a way to get her out.
He views Julie as a possible
threat.
as a threat between him and Logan, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's hilarious. But Selby, last thing before you get out of here, I just wanted to say I wanted to wish you a happy New Year. Glad that you made the transition over here to Maryland. over here with us. We're neighbors now, and thank you for doing that. And I'm glad that you were able to come on here and talk football with us after a couple weeks trying to get you on, because I really love you, dude. And hopefully that you could talk to Terry and rub your elbow into him a little bit and tell him, hey man, make sure you sign that contract to stay here. All right, we'd love for you to do
Well,
that.
I had a thought before Reed rudely interrupted me by joining the last second of the show. I'll go ahead and finish that. But no, I will say, Terry is. Let's see how much I'll pay attention to my Twitter account. When's the last time Washington has had back-to-back a receiver finish with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons?
A single player?
Yes.
Ooh, Deshaun didn't do it, right?
Pierre?
No, Pierre didn't do it.
Oh, Pierre didn't do it.
No. Before that,
Santana.
No, he might not have done it. No, he didn't. No, he had years between. No, hold on. It was oh my God, why is it so hard? Wasn't Lavernius Coles?
Nope.
I'm drawing blanks.
Who
is it? So
was it Art Monk?
All right, it was. Nope.
Okay.
I mean, well, yeah, I'm sure. But it was after that.
I was like, Jesus, it's been that long.
Yeah, I know. It's Henry Ellard back in 1994, 1995.
Wow.
So I was close.
So essentially, if Terry gets 1,000, I mean, my goodness, how important he is, not only to this franchise, but just us as a fan base, and just to have something to talk about. Because the guy, I love Terry so much, Zach. You're the man.
I do. I love Terry too. But anyway, to answer your question, I think Washington's going to do everything they can to try to keep Terry. I don't think you can do anything about. I don't think there's any doubt in that. I mean, if Terry wants to leave, that's his prerogative. But I think he likes being in Washington. I think he likes the fan base. I think he's a very committed guy, and that's the impression that I get off of Terry. So we'll see. We'll see what this fourth year brings. But I mean, look, Terry's a captain. Terry is an important piece of this franchise. He's one of the best players this team has had in a decade. I mean, let's be honest here.
I trust your judgment.
We'll see, but I'm also a big guy.
Hey, that's better than you saying, "Oh, I don't know, man." Like, I love that. Thank you so much, Zach. You are the man. Hey, make sure.
I'm looking to say, he's out of here.
I'm so glad you didn't open with that. That would have killed me, Zach. I can't thank you enough, as always, brother. I hope you have a happy New Year, and until next time, I want you to stay safe and healthy. All right, brother.
Absolutely, man. We'll see y'all next year.
Oh,
Selby. Oh,
that's that good bit. Everyone loves that bit.
There you go.
All right, Selby. We'll see you, brother.
Bye, Selby. Nice talking to you for such a long time.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Zach Selby. Reed, it's a pleasure to join you, sir.
I'm sorry. I got delegated to the back room, and we still have stuff that we haven't unpacked yet. So I'm sitting here. I mean, there's 3 people in the living room where I was, 2 kids, and I was just like, you can't even hear me talk 90% of the time. So, then I had to come set up back here. So I apologize. But hey, guys, I'm here. That's all that's important.
Yes, and that is all that's important. And before we get joined by our next guest, and I think is a very important guest that I covet so very tightly, and he's actually in here now. And that is Mr. Tony Shivers, who is a constant guy who is a fan of not only the Washington football team, but of us. And he's always coming in great questions. The man himself. Look at that hat.
Yeah,
Mr. Tony Shivers. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Tony, I'm good now that you're here and we get to actually see the wheels spin as the genius thinks up the best questions possible instead of just reading on the phone, because you are the GOAT questionnaire. You know that, right?
Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey, we have to start this off, Tony, with a question from one of the fans, and this is going to be from the Colonel himself. And his question is there any reason to believe that the Washington football team will get a W on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the last game, there were so many other circumstances. We had to start Garrett Gilbert. The short week, the Eagles had forever to prep for it. So just based on that and the fact that the last game was so embarrassing, I expect the guys to come out and give a max effort, and hope we're getting some guys back too. So hopefully that bodes well for this upcoming game.
I totally agree with you there, because I feel like that is something that gets lost in the sauce a little bit about how injury decimated they were last time, and it was on a Tuesday. And look, it was kind of crappy. And we also have to take into consideration they had, I think, like 10 days to prepare for Washington up until that game. And obviously not that much has changed since then, but I do agree with you about the fact that the team is pissed off. They should be pissed off the way that they were disrespected in front of the entire nation on Sunday Night Football. And to hear DeAndre Carter in that tunnel talking to the team and saying, oh, let's go put on a show. Ugh. I mean, that is brutal going into that game and that happening to you. What about you, Reed? What do you think? Is there any reason to believe that they will get a W given the fact that Antonio Gibson is out, Eric Flowers tested positive for COVID, and then the cherry on top, Tress Way being out?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be tough, but obviously nothing compares to the last time that we played the Eagles with the amount of players that we were missing. And obviously you're going to miss Antonio Gibson, but the good thing is at least our offense will hold on to the ball for a little bit. I'm just kidding. I love it, AG. But no, but I mean, you know that we're going to come out there fired up because even though we need help to make the playoffs, with this division schedule, we want to play spoiler. We really, and this is our one chance to really play spoiler. Giants aren't going anywhere. So we want to get the Eagles. We want to get them while they're down. We want to do something. We want to do whatever we can to them. And I really have faith in them. I could see this easily being a game where Washington comes out and gets a W. Not easily. I shouldn't say that, but
yes,
easily.
And if you follow me on Twitter, you probably know that the Colonel is coming with me on Sunday to go watch Washington against Philly. It's going to be in Washington, but most likely when you look at the camera on the TV at 1:00 on Sunday, it won't look like Washington. But his question is, will the Philly fans outnumber us at home again, Tony? I think that's rhetorical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Just the way the season's unwinding. Yeah. Philly's got a lot to play for still. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're always well represented here in the DC area. I think we all know that all too well growing up around here. And yes, Colonel, I fully expect for them to be there because like especially Philly fans are the type that like when they do bad, like they disappear. They don't talk all that much.
But they have something on the line now.
Yeah, they're gonna talk a lot, and
they're gonna come show up. We're not far.
They can't wait to eat horse poop again, and I really hope that doesn't happen for them as bad as they want to.
Right. Yeah. And you can't blame them either. I mean, it's a very rare delicacy that you only get to get apparently when you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, you can just really tell. I mean, Washington games are always, at least in our lifetime, we never really got to go to RFK, obviously, but Washington games are always like, this time of year, it's always going to be leaning towards the opposing team, especially if that team's something like the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I don't know. You can really also just tell just because Washington Twitter's kind of given up. So that they're not going to show up. A lot of them aren't they don't want to.
As long as they have playoff chances, man, I'm right there in it. But the last question from the Colonel, Reed, I'm going to bounce this off of you first. His question is, give me all of your predictions on the new name. He says, personally, I think it's going to be Commanders. I think President Biden's new dog's name is a foreshadowing for that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I personally, I think it's going to be Commanders. And that's just, based off of some things that you kind of put together. It ties in everywhere, but it ties in with the nation's capital, the commander in chief, the military, the leadership aspect. It's something new. Nobody other team in sports has that. I could definitely see it being Commanders. I think that's kind of my front runner. And then also I think you still have to stick. I think Red Wolves has to be up there just because it caught so much fanfare. I don't like it, but hey, I really think that it could be the number 2 choice.
I don't have any predictions for you, sir, because honestly, I'm not sure if they're going to be picking anything that we have already talked about and discussed and everything like that. But obviously, it could very well be right under our nose, and we have no idea about it. But all I'll say is just don't give up the ship. That's all I'll say. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, the front runner ones you guys mentioned. Then I also think something Hogs related could be in there too.
Right.
Because at some point, I think Jason Wright mentioned, honoring the past and tradition. So So I think that's in the mix as well. And then you never know; it could be something no one's talking about too.
Right.
What was it that Rio put on Twitter the other day? What did he say? The Wolf Hog Commanders? Is that what he said? I'm like, oh, that's brilliant, dude.
I just want everybody to think about this. No matter what it is, even if it sounds right, it's gonna be memed to death by the internet. No matter what, this has gone on for too long. We waited too long. You went from Washington. No matter what, you're gonna see memes that are gonna be like, you went from our word, can't say it, Redskins, to this, and it took 2 years. No matter what the jerseys look like, it's gonna be tough for the first few months. But just stick it out. It'll grow on you, whatever it is.
If Glizzies can become a meme, the team name will become a meme, my friend. I think that's just how the things go. But one thing I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on, because I kind of wanted to feel what your opinion was on this, because I I did not like
Yeah,
this.
you should go down a shirt size, Kyle.
And I really did not like this at all when it came out on Twitter the other day. But Tom Lavero had a article that he wrote, and he basically said that if you work for Washington, you take money from Dan Snyder, then you lose your soul. And I don't essentially agree with that. I think that is something egregious, and I don't like that whatsoever. I think that a lot of innocent people are being made out to be something that they're not. What did you think about that, Tony?
I hadn't caught that specifically, but Tom Lavero, I mean, he seems to always, I mean, it's obvious he always has something to tweak the team at, and to say something like that, just kind of whatever, man. Most people at whatever company they work at, do they know, every little thing about the owner of the company? No. And so to say, you lost your soul, you're in the NFL especially, there's only so many teams, there's only so many opportunities to work in that profession. So, I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's innocent people there like Mr. Zach Selby, who's trying to make a name for himself, and he's trying to get better in this career, and this was an opportunity, and he took it, and he's just doing his job. He's not soulless by any stretch because he took an opportunity to make a name for himself. Maybe if Thom were to run on the treadmill more than running his mouth, maybe he'd be in a more healthy situation. What do you think about that, Reed?
Well, personally, I think Thom, I don't know. Either way, just learn how to respell your name, brother. There's no H in that if you say Tom, but if it's really Thom, parents must have hated you. But
goodness.
No, I think actually he's 100% right, and I don't see proof otherwise, Kyle. I mean, I know for a fact Todd was a blood boy for the Snyders when he was growing up. I know that they've all done blood packs. I know that like I don't. How can you even say like
no?
You sold
ridiculous.
your soul. No, it's dumb. It's a little it's out there, but look, it's not like we haven't thought of it before. It's not like we haven't said like something's going on there. But,
yeah, I understand. I mean, Thom has his own opinion and everything like that. It's just
like apparently on the way to spell Tom.
Yeah, but our next question, I'm going to go to our guy out in Scotland, one of our great fans of the podcast, not only that, of the team, staying up way past midnight to watch some of these games, Mr. Paul Murphy, the Pablo man. He said, what New Year's resolution do you all have for Washington, the team, or the pod for 2022? I read, obviously, you for the pod, but what do you think, Tony? What is your New Year's resolution for the team?
I think for the team is just to go all in and everyone be on the same page for a quarterback. Whether it's the draft or some kind of trade or free agent, whatever, the front office, the coach, everyone just be on the same page and just go all in. And because, we've seen what's happened this year. So just hopefully move forward with that.
I totally agree with you on that aspect. I would love to have a quarterback being brought in here. I actually wouldn't even mind if they double dipped at quarterback by bringing in a vet to play right now and a young quarterback in order to progress them. Because I think like the stock market is a lot like the football league and trends and stuff like that. And the trend used to be that the quarterback was drafted like Aaron Rodgers and sat and learned and then was put into the starting lineup. And then, Reed, you talked about this a couple weeks ago on the pod. And then the new age kind of stuff is you get thrown right into the fire and said, hey, there you go. And I think maybe things are starting to turn to the other side of that where guys need to progress. They need to learn a little bit like Zach Wilson, like Trey Lance you're seeing, for example. What do you think, Reed?
I mean, I completely agree with both of you guys. I think number one, no matter what your offseason priority, like literally the main thing that you got to do before even thinking about addressing even other positions, to be completely honest, is you have to find that guy. And I think it just shows. Like we've seen how much this team has struggled. Like you need to make a resolution to find that guy. Like you said, either through the draft, either a trade or a free agent or double dip. Like you said, I mean, if you're going to get somebody old like an Aaron Rodgers who maybe got another year or two left, go ahead, spend a first-round pick on one of these quarterbacks, on a Matt Corral if you have to. Second-round pick on somebody else. Hey, I know that'll at least keep the chains moving and keep you going. And the quarterback is the most important position. We would win a lot more of these games if we had a quarterback with some of the talent. Nothing against Heineke, but it is what it is. So I think, yes, you have to, and Rivera's going to, but you have to make a move for a quarterback. This is the year.
Yes, and then Paul Murphy wanted to end it with this, just to wish you all on the pod and all the listeners and Washington fans a very happy year in 2022. Thank you, Paul. Right back at you, brother.
You too, Paul. It's gonna 2021 ended terrible with the late Betty White dying today.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was cool.
Man.
Yeah, even she didn't survive 2021. She survived everything.
2022 took out John Madden too, man, which is so freaking sad.
Well, 2021 did. You can't blame 2022 yet. because
Yeah.
it's not that yet. But,
Yeah, it's not that
yeah,
yet. But
But Brett Favre, quarterback.
Boom! He's always talking about
Brett Favre, he's the best quarterback ever.
And
Brett Favre.
I love the documentary because like they talked to Brett Favre. He's like, I don't know what the fascination was with me. I don't, we just had a
I'll
connection.
tell you what the fascination is. Brett, nobody throws a football as hard as you. Brett Favre.
I love John Madden so much.
So do I.
The next
got
question we have is from Football Guru on Twitter. I don't want to. He has like 30 numbers in his tag, but no disrespect, brother. I'm
He's
just
a
not
bot.
gonna
He's a
say it
bot.
on here. Here's a question that would be a great to cover. If we win against the Eagles and Giants, how do you like our chances of making the playoffs? He says it looks really promising to me. Buffalo over Atlanta, Green Bay over Minnesota without Kirk Cousins testing positive for COVID today. And then Minnesota then beating Chicago, and then the Saints lose one or the 49ers lose out with no Jimmy Garoppolo. So Tony, how do you like Washington's chances to make the playoffs?
It's funny. It's not impossible if you look at how things are breaking.
Yep.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is out. I think Garoppolo is going to be out too.
Thumb injury, yeah.
Yeah, and
A thumb Lavaro injury.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we could take care of the Eagles ourselves if we beat them.
Right.
So it's not impossible. It's not as impossible as it looked like last week.
Crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously, and you're not lying about it. Crazier things that happened like last season, for example,
Yeah.
with Washington getting in. And so you never know. And so I do like our chances, especially the way you write that out, Football Guru, because you're right. There's a lot of circumstances going on here, but the fact is they have to win on Sunday, and that is the biggest obstacle, in my opinion. And so I wanted to ask you, Reed, if there was one, let's say, under the radar player for Washington that has to have a great game in order for Washington to win this, who would you say that would be?
Ooh, see that? I mean, that's tough. Like an underrated player. I mean, really, I guess we're just gonna have to go with whoever we have playing out there at edge defender right now. I mean, with Montez Sweat, with his status up in the air, obviously, RIP to his brother. Obviously, we completely understand this season. It's tough, and then of course all the injuries that we've had. Pass rushing was our forte. Pass rushing has been what we've made our name off of last season. It's so important to contain Jalen Hurts because those mobile quarterbacks always seem to kill us. And you really you saw last time the rushing attack just destroyed us. And so you really are going to need whoever's out there playing edge this week. And I know it all differs from week to week, but you're going to need them to really step up, whoever it is, because that defensive line controls the game.
Yeah, and with Sam Cosmi and Eric Flowers possibly being out for this game, I think it's Sadiq Charles being plugged in there at left guard. And last time that we played Philly, Sadiq Charles did play against him, and Fletcher Cox really did well against Sadiq Charles and was able to do stuff against him. And it wasn't the greatest game for Sadiq, but that being said, coming up in this game, he knows what Fletcher is going to bring. And it's not like he's going to get hit in the mouth anymore. He knows and he expects what's going to happen. So for me, it's Sadiq Charles. If we can get productivity at that left guard spot, if you can combo him with Leno and then with Keith Ishmael, that's going to really help this team because you have to keep Philly's offense on the sideline. That's obviously they're going to run the football on you. They want to keep the clock running because they're going to control the time of possession and just bleed you out. As long as you are doing that, they can't. And you want to force them to throw the football, and running the football and protecting Taylor Heineke for this game is probably the biggest aspect for me. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, those are all great ones, up front. I think also Cole Holcomb, I think he's coming back. So we saw how badly he was missed. So make the calls and then clean up the run game for the Eagles and get them off, and get off the fields.
Yep, I would totally agree with you. Now, our next question from Mr. Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi! Love you, Scott. He says, it's a deep question for the pod tonight, following on this tweet of mine that I had. I'm going to read the tweet, I guess. I said, I guess the biggest mental obstacle that I have is thinking you are owed anything as a fan. If you need A, B, and C to happen so you can support the team, then you aren't really a fan. You'll dip out when the going gets tough. And so his question is, what do you want as a fan? Do we feel the team owes us something as fans? Is it all about winning, live entertainment, or is it nostalgic or a brotherhood? What do you think about that question, Tony?
The team, I mean, doesn't owe anyone anything personally, but as a fan, all you can hope for is that they're trying to win.
Yep.
So the on-field product is all the steps they're taking is leading to trying to win. And then honestly too, there are other things like the fan experience at games. Obviously that's a major step too. But first and foremost is getting on the path to winning consistently.
And I would agree with you. Look, the stadium is not what it should be, obviously, just talking about physical nature of it. You know, there are things that go wrong. Things don't work. The lines are always really, really long. I know when we went with Hall, he wanted to go get a beer one time, and it took him, he said, like 20 minutes, and he just got fed up, and he was like, dude, I want to go watch the game. And that kind of stuff can't happen. And obviously, you got to fix those type of issues. But that's not keeping people out of the stadium, obviously. So for me personally, I don't think that we are owed anything as fans. I just go to watch this team. I like to see them play football. I love the game of football, and I like to watch my favorite team play my favorite sport. And that's essentially why I go. I want to support those guys because I understand it's an unforgiving job playing in this market, given the circumstances in the environment. And I want to give those guys support because Lord knows that if I had a friend of mine, a family member, anything that was playing on that team, that I'd be cheering for him. And that I'd be going in there trying to get everyone else in there because it does suck to watch your field get taken over by opposing fans, and it's a brutal thing to watch. And I know that we all think that we're taking out on the owner, but we're taking out on the team, we're taking out on the players, the coach, we're taking out on us as fans, and I just don't like to watch that happen. I know that probably the way I do it is not probably the best way, but that's just how I feel. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, do they owe us anything? No, absolutely not. I mean, it does suck because like we've spent so much time and energy. I mean, we basically promote them for free twice a week because by having this podcast was talking about them. But do they owe us anything? No, I mean, we do that by choice. That's just something that we love. Fell in love with this team a long time ago. All they can do is win. That's all they can do is put a good product out on the field. They do that. I guarantee 90% of this stuff will stop. I take that back. I would have said that before this season. After all this stuff started coming out, now it's kind of like I think people are just going to complain no matter what because they want to. And hey, if you want to, that's your right. I personally, I don't go to games anymore. I mean, I never really do it. And some of it's money, some of it's just the fact that I just don't have a good time at FedEx Field anymore. Anytime I go there, I'm always getting into fights. I'm always, like you said, the experience is just generally kind of bad. And I know that it's a lot of people feel that way. But I mean, I would probably end up going if I could get down there and financially.
I got you. The next question is, besides the obvious QB, what position are you most concerned about and want to either draft or trade for? And if you could, who would it be? I got to go unlock the door for my wife.
Okay. All right. See, this is a tough one because if you really look at our roster, we still have a good amount of holes, and a lot of these holes are positions that we thought that we addressed this past offseason. I mean, you can look at linebacker. We drafted Jamin Davis in the first round. We have Cole Holcomb. He's been stud. Jamin's been a little bit slow. You could still use somebody else, especially depending on what happens with Landon Collins, if he leaves or if he actually makes a switch to linebacker full time or what. I mean, wide receiver is another one that we thought was completely solved. I mean, you have Terry McLaurin, then you go and you draft De'Ami Brown after you sign Curtis Samuel, and you bring in Adam Humphries, and you're just like, all right, our wide receiver core is going to be very, very good. But it hasn't been that way. And I know it's been because of injuries, but you could definitely bring in another body. I mean, if you're going to look into the second round at a wide receiver or something, I mean, maybe you could look at somebody like a Justin Ross if he's still healthy out of Clemson. He's somebody I think we need, if we keep Terry and Curtis Samuel and De'Ami Brown, somebody with size, somebody that's could be better than Cam Sims. So like Justin Ross, I would love, of course, Drake London, but he's going to be long gone. But yeah, this is a good year for wide receivers again. So it's interesting.
Did you say wide receiver? Because that's a really good.
I said I brought up linebacker and wide receiver.
Yeah, I would say another one I would add on there because I do think wide receiver is their number one besides quarterback. But the other one is corner. I know William Jackson hasn't done great. Obviously this season he's probably one of the bigger disappointments you could say based on how much he was paid. But that lockdown corner is something they missed, and especially going against Dallas, because Coach Rivera talked about you do draft to beat your divisional opponents, and having corners that can lock down and you can depend on, I think, are huge. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, those are all big ones. Another one I would throw out there is free safety.
I was just about to say that too. Yeah.
If we had that, and then Cam Curl can just be totally himself free, I think that would exponentially help our defense.
Right. Ideal situation, you bring in a true free safety, like somebody like, let's say, like in the draft, Daxton Hill from Michigan. He's fun. He's a good corner. He can play deep. He's somebody that would really make a difference. And then Cam Curl can switch just straight up strong safety. You move him around however you need to. And then Landon Collins accepts this. Oh, okay, this is my new role, and it's a linebacker, but we just don't tell him it's a linebacker, and we're just like, take a little bit closer. And then
whatever he wants to be called, call him that.
Yeah,
he's playing well.
Exactly. I mean, so there's a few positions. You could also look at guard, of course, with Sheriff more out the leaving. So it's going to be interesting, man. There's a lot of positions out there.
Yeah, and I would agree with you totally about that. Now, our next question is from our guy, Mr. Orange Crush 92. Thank you, OC. I appreciate you. He said, I like that tribute to John Madden by FanDuel, asking what your favorite play from Madden was. So, what's your favorite play from Madden ever, and why, Tony, if you could think of one?
Oh, man. I think it's just like halfback toss or sweep.
Yeah.
If I just need a yard, I can get it, but then I can always, like, half the time you take it to the house too. So I think that's probably my go-to there.
What's yours, Reed?
Mine was the same thing. Back they used to have a hammer toss. I believe that's what they called it in Madden, and it was I think it was when we had Alfred Morris, or maybe it was Clinton Portis. But either way, anytime you did that play, it was just like almost a guaranteed like 30 yards. It seemed like, it was, all right, cool. Run that to the ground.
So I don't know the name of the play call, but it's the zero blitz on defense is my favorite play call ever, because what I would like to do is I like to play free safety against the quarterback or against against a quarterback, against like another person or against a computer. I was always free safety, and sending that zero blitz with 6 rushers, they would try to get that easy quick slant, get that out the way. So as free safety, I'm seeing it. They got a halfback in the backfield. I can play up a little bit more because you're in zero. And so from that point, it's pick city in the middle of the field right there. And then all out blitz was perfect against the run when you needed it to, and then it brought pressure immediately. And it was always you didn't have to worry about broken tackles really in Madden unless you were playing all Madden and you had to get like 3 guys on them just to bring them down. But that one, but for offense, I forget the name of it, but it was the X and the Z do verticals, and then the 2 outs on the inside, and then the halfback doing the option route in the middle of the field there. I love that play because it gives you so much flexibility and versatility in what you can do with hot routes and stuff like that against different zone coverages and man coverage, because there always is an out in that formation, either with running the football or not. Because for me personally, I love to be able to spread you out and then hit you in the mouth, because I always want to make you not know what's happening, because I want to kind of confuse you and to think, oh, okay, they're an empty set here. Okay, he's probably throwing the football, because everyone loves to throw the football in bad. No, actually, I'm gonna run it right at your face. And dude, my favorite one was, it was a 4th and 5, and I called a run play in the shotgun against somebody, and it was like a really pivotal time, like late in the 4th, and I picked up the first down on it. That dude looked at me, he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Hey, man,
whatever works." The thing I've learned about Madden over the years is like, you can't just keep running the same play. Once you figure out how to run a play, and then it just, you do that all the time, you're never stopped. Your offense is putting up 70+ points. Like, you got to expand your playbook, man. You got to go through and do all the random ones, do the ones that look shitty, that you just use that. And because then it's a lot more fun. Trust me, it feels like a way better game. But another thing I will say, most underrated player to use in Madden, nobody ever talks about this, was RG3 in 2012. That was the funnest year.
I talked about that earlier with Selby, actually.
He was so fun because he was such a good thrower of the football. Everybody wants to talk about the Mike Vick in the early 2000s, but I mean, RG3 was that 2012 rookie year, man. He was so fun to play with.
That's what I was saying to Selby, because at that time, so it was like after 2012. So I think it'd be Madden 2014. That it would be the year after RG3's rookie year. He came in was like a 90. And before, when I would play Washington against people, I was at a disadvantage with the quarterback. I would have to make things happen, so to speak. That was the first year where I could use Washington, and I knew that I could boat race people with the quarterback and throw every single ball. And that was my favorite.
One of the most popular teams to use in Madden because RG3. Everybody likes to use those scrambling quarterbacks. So
I didn't even like to use him as a scrambling quarterback, dude. I love the gunslinger, dude. Oh, man, so much fun.
Cheat code.
And now our next question is from my guy T-Mac, Ty on Twitter, and he's a pipe fitter, my man. Thank you, appreciate you. He said he has one question, Tony. So, do you eat black-eyed peas for New Year's Eve, or are you normal?
Oh man, because if I'm at my mom's house, my mom every year faithfully would do black-eyed peas.
Really?
But if I'm not going over there, then we're not. My wife's not big into that, so
I have never done that. I didn't know that was even a thing.
It's interesting what Kyle listens to Black Eyed Peas on New Year's.
That's
all Kyle does. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's all he does. I know that that's a thing. I've just never done it. But the only Black Eyed Peas maybe Will.i.am. Like, I guess he's a pretty cool guy.
I was gonna say Wyclef. I don't even think he's on Black Eyed Peas.
No, Wyclef is not on Black
Eyed Peas. No, I know. I just confused him with Will.i.am
because she pisses her pants on stage and stuff, and it's just
that happened.
Yeah, Google it. It's worth a Google.
It's worth the Google. But I wanted to say before we got out of here, one person on Twitter had asked me where you could watch the John Madden documentary and stream it like off your
It's on
computer.
Peacock.
I used Tubi TV, which is TUBI.TV. If you Google it, you'll find
Streaming service, right?
Yeah, it's streaming service, but you sign up for it. It's free. That's all it is, and they won't ever charge you anything. I was watching MXC reruns from back in the day. You remember that from Spike TV?
Yeah.
I was watching on Tubi too.
Oh, Spike TV, man.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Spike TV. Yeah.
MXC is so freaking funny, dude. The commentary just blows everything out of the water.
Up next on 1,000 Ways to Die. Remember that show?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
They always had like the worst, and then like the Man Show. Those
Oh,
were-
yeah.
those were sick.
I like the one where it was like warriors through history fighting.
Yeah.
each other.
Oh, Deadliest
Yeah.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Dude, I was
That was
thinking
awesome.
about that show the other day where they had like the gel torso and stuff, and like,
Yeah.
they would like see what the weapons would do.
Yep.
That was so awesome.
Yeah.
It was. I would agree
Yeah.
with you guys there. But hey, before we get out of here, we got to predict this game this weekend. All right, Tony? And so this being your first time on the podcast, first, I wanted to ask you, what is your prediction against Philly? What's the score? MVP.
Okay. Whew, it's tough. I think for this week, I think they actually will, with a normal week of prep, I think they will pull out the win. I think it'll be 24-20. Close game. And then I think the MVP is going to be DeAndre Carter. He'll have some catch plays, and then even if he doesn't take one to the house, he'll have a big return.
There we go. I like Tony a lot. I'm gonna have you on more, Tony, because you're better
there
than
you go.
Hall picking the Cowboys at one time. Although there's
Ah.
no reason that Hall should feel bad about that because he was correct. He proved it
Yeah.
right. I just like your mindset there. What do you think, Reed?
I'm gonna go with 27-21 Washington. I think we're gonna come back and we're gonna punch them in the mouth this time. And I'm not talking Deron Payne, John Allen. I'm talking about like they're gonna go there. And my MVP is going to actually be Antonio Gibson for not turning the ball over. I'm just kidding. No, I like to joke about Antonio Gibson.
Poor
but
Gibson, man. He's
No.
just let him get. I
I
hope
know.
he's all right. He got put on the
I like-
COVID list. I hope he's
I
not
like
going
the
to
DeAndre Carter one. I really like that one, Tony. But I'll switch it up. I'm gonna go with MVP. Old Taylor Heineke as a redemption game.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. And he needs it, to be perfectly honest with you. I believe in the kid. I still do. I know I was hard on him on Monday, but that being said, I think it's warranted. You have the stage, you got to do it. And I think that's what Ron Rivera is giving him this weekend, saying, look, you have the power. It's in your hands right here. But if the game gets out of hand, I'm pulling you. We're bringing in Kyle Allen. But he's trusting Taylor to say, look, man, it's in your hands now. Either you do something with it or not. I'm going to pull plug if not. But I think they'll get it done. I think 21-17. I think Terry McLaurin is the MVP. Currently at 899 receiving yards on the season. I think this weekend he reaches the 1,000-yard mark. Like Selby had told us, Tony, it'd be the first time that a Washington wide receiver had gotten 1,000 yards receiving in back-to-back seasons since 1994.
Wow. That's crazy.
1994. Now, before we get out of here, guys, last thing. I know I keep saying that, but the big news with Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and that whole skirmish happening at Dallas, we need to leave that game behind us, right? But throughout the week, it kept blossoming. Like, there was still animosity or frustration. Like, Deron Payne goes and deletes all of the Washington football team, any type of pictures related to them. He took them off of his Instagram. He didn't delete his Instagram. He just took those pictures off of it. Are you concerned at all, Tony, that this thing is starting to grow some legs and it's going to be a big issue?
Not totally, just because I think those are two grown men. They know each
Very
other.
grown, right?
And
yeah.
Fights do happen all the time in the
Mhm.
NFL. Just unfortunately, this happened on national TV on the
yeah.
sidelines. But
Mhm.
those guys are teammates from college,
Right.
and I feel like behind the scenes they'll air it out man to man and go from there. Because if you think about it, what is it? The stupid Giants, they had like a big pile up, but it wasn't televised. It was like
Right.
in the summer camp or whatever. And the stupid coach was even under the pile.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
if that was televised, that'd be a huge thing. So
I
I'm not
agree.
over the top concerned. It sucks. But
It does suck because all it does, I've said it many times, the only victim here is the team. essentially. I know that fans should not be attacking Daron Payne on Instagram. Daron Payne's dad shouldn't be attacking or talking crap about Jonathan Allen on Instagram.
Idiot, dude.
Their whole situation is bad. It is poor. I just hope, Tony, like you said, that they are grown men, because it should have been left in Dallas, in that locker room. All that animosity ends there, but it continues to kind of show its head, and that doesn't tell me that they are all grown men. And we'll see how it plays out. I hope Daron Payne stays here. He's a badass dude. He's very good at his job. And I know that I've heard from people that he's a teddy bear. He looks terrifying, but he's a very nice guy. He loves to talk to you. And he's not one of those guys who's like, nah. He's a very good dude. It's just, I know they go back a long ways. I just hope that something is not bubbling here, because I hope people do take ownership of it, because all that matters is that this team stays together and they come and actually become what they need to, and that is winners and champions. What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I'll just Daron Payne's dad, man. God, dude, just stop talking. Stop commenting on Instagram.
He's
First
defending his son. I understand that.
I know, but he made his son look even worse. He really did. Look, Mr. Payne, which by the way is the coolest name I think ever. Like I feel like he could be a superhero for sure. But like just him saying like that's why you don't mess with my son. Your son got punched though. Like it's not like your son put a finger in somebody's face and he got punched. Like it's not like he looked so super bad and tough. And like shout out to Daron, he was probably sticking up for himself. Like dude, don't say that. But the whole thing is just stupid. And then his dad's just got to shut his mouth, man. Especially when he's talking about why don't you guys sign a quarterback? Why don't you it's like dude, just stop.
Yeah,
you're just causing animosity at this point.
Yeah, I said it on Twitter. From Mr. Deeds, the movie, when Adam Sandler is talking to the Jets quarterback, he comes in, starts cussing, and Adam Sandler punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go somewhere else." He's like, "Okay, peace out, dude." And then his dad calls him. He's like, "I wanted to apologize. I'm sorry."
And you hear him in the background. He goes, "No, Daddy, no."
Yeah, when he's like, he said what in front of a lady?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good part, and that's what
Daddy, no.
And that's what that's what this world needs more of, is fathers like that.
Beatings.
Well, not beatings. Not beatings. It's just having the sense to know of self-accountability. To that's a good example to use is like when the teacher calls home to say that your kid was acting up that day. Do you greet it with animosity, or do you acknowledge that maybe your kid was acting up at school that day? And that's my whole kind of mindset.
Trophy
with
or
it.
A prize or something. Let him know. Like ask him what he said. Make sure it was funny. I think that's what it was. I think John Allen was establishing that he is Daron Payne's father, and he was like, "Look, you listen to me now." No, I'm just kidding. Daron, he's a nice guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. But one thing I wanted to say before we get out of here, the red zone conversion rate for these offenses, Philly is ranked 12th so far this season at 60% clip in the red zone, which is a great number. But in the last 3 games, they're at 40%. Washington football team is sitting 25th in the league with a 54% conversion rate with touchdowns. But in the last 3 games, they're at 83%. That being said, it's not that great because they haven't been in the red zone that much, but they have been converting once they get there. But that is a good number, and I hope that sticks, because controlling the time of possession and making sure you're getting touchdowns instead of field goals is what's going to solidify this game. Tony, I wanted to say thank you for joining us, brother. I'm sorry we couldn't get you on for the Christmas Eve episode, so we could all enjoy it together. Because I know you wanted to be there for the UK guys.
Time.
But I'm glad that we could come on here and talk football, brother.
Yeah.
You were great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody.
Appreciate you reaching out. So.
Of course, Tony.
You guys.
Who else?
We don't DM all the time, Tony. No, we don't DM. No, we don't do that at all. All right, everybody. I just wanted to say I still love you guys, even though I want you guys to show up at the stadium. It is what it is. You have your own choices. I have mine. I just wanted to see you there.
Kyle, quit being the fan police.
I know, dude.
What did that one guy? What did you and that dude trade insults at each other? That was funny. It wasn't really insults, but you called him something. You and that one dude, you said something. Speed Racer. You called him Speed Racer, and he was like, "All right, Speed Racer, back to you." And it was just super funny.
Dude. No, I don't want to talk about that clown, dude. That was ridiculous. That dude went off and sent out I kissed the president's butt and stuff like that, and I started talking about how I react to roster moves. It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, what are you even saying?
What is your problem with me? Next time, write about it in your diary, because I don't give a crap.
And how does he know about something so personal, though, about when you kissed the president's butt?
Right.
How did he even know that?
How did you get pictures of that?
Obsessed
Nobody knows
much?
about that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's weird. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Expose
right.
yourself, bro.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys come and watch this game this weekend with me at FedEx Field. I know it's going to suck because we're going to be surrounded by Eagles fans, but I would rather us be together in watching this game, and hopefully they pull out the W, because I would hate to see all those Eagles fans showing up ready to see a W and then getting disappointed. I would love to see them leaving the stadium pissed off once in a while, and I hope that happens this weekend. Me and the Colonel, we're going to have a great time. All right, everybody, I'm Kyle.
I'm Reed.
And
Tony.
And Hall was at dinner with his in-laws, and so we didn't want to get him. We didn't want to get him in trouble. We didn't want to get him in trouble. We said, "All right, Hall, that makes sense." All right, everybody, we will see you on Monday for an action-packed episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Hopefully, it's on a Victory Monday. All right, everybody, I'll see you then. Stay safe, enjoy the weekend, and also Happy New Year, guys. I love you. It's been a great year. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!